Hello everybody, welcome back. So today's video is one that I've been anticipating for a teensy little bit, just a little while. I've been thinking about making this. Today I'm going to review Willy's Wonderland. I watched it last night in bed, or yesterday morning in bed, and it's one of the best films I've ever seen because it was so shockingly shit. I don't think any of us are surprised by this at all, me included, and I'm a massive fan of Nicolas Cage. I don't usually bash this man at all, and you know what? I won't bash this man's performance. Do you want to know why? Because Nicolas Cage does not say a single word in the entire movie. You know, he screams every now and then, but it wouldn't be a Nicolas Cage movie if he didn't scream. But regardless, I'm a massive Nicolas Cage fan. As you can see, I have this man's autograph right here. There it is, signed, Nicolas Cage. Piranharoni Nicolas Cage collab when? I've had this for many, many years. I have another one actually, a Ghost Rider one, but I can't find it. But anyways, you're not here to hear me talk about my Nicolas Cage autographs and brag about my love for this sexy hunk of a man. You're here to hear what I think of Willy's Wonderland. So without any further ado, let's get started. So, the scene is set. The movie begins with a couple running away from Freddy Fazbear, or I don't know, whatever character you want it to be. The movie has started with a very blank slate, two people running away from an animatronic in the middle of a Willy's Wonderland restaurant. I guess it could be Willy, but since everyone thinks this is the Five Nights at Freddy's ripoff movie, I'm gonna call him Freddy Fazbear for the time being. These people are chased down and they're killed pretty much instantly. They don't put up any of a fight unless you count screaming and yelling as putting up a fight, but let's be real, this is a horror movie, so I feel like everyone's gonna be yelling and screaming in some fashion or another. We cut to the man himself. We cut to Nicolas Cage with epic rock music playing in the background, and this is gonna be very important. I need you guys to remember the epic rock music, okay? Because if you don't remember the epic rock music, then I don't think you're gonna enjoy the rest of this movie. We have a badass car shot, like Nicolas Cage is driving down the road. It's badass music playing. He's got a badass leather jacket on. He's got a badass pair of shades on. He's got a can of drink in his hand. He's driving down the road in his car. It's like something straight out of Fast and Furious, dude. But oh no, danger strikes. Something absolutely tragic happens. His tires, they pop. He drives over some spikes in the middle of the road, and he gets out of his car. He still hasn't said a word yet. I don't know why I'm specifying that, because this man doesn't say a single word throughout the entire movie. He gets out of his car, he stamps his cowboy boots on the ground, and epic rock music plays once again. I'm not kidding here, this is gonna happen pretty much every 5 minutes. You know, he checks out the tires, and he checks out the spikes that he's just driven over, and you know what he does? He opens a can of Monster Energy drink. You think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding. Watch the movie for yourself. Takes a sip of his soda can, crushes that shit in his hand and throws it over his shoulder. Boom. We pan up from his legs to his upper torso and his face and his badass leather jacket and his badass shades. He's got that weird mouth expression that I can't really show you with my own face. So I'll let the man himself show it to you. A little bit like this, right? Like it just that face, but just a little bit more badass. So the sex man himself, this man that definitely smells nothing more, nothing less than sex and leather, stands there in the middle of the road in front of his busted up car. Luckily, a trucker guy comes along and picks him up and gives him a ride. This trucker guy has some of the most intelligible dialogue in any movie I've ever heard in my entire life. And this is coming from someone who has had to sit down with his grandparents and watch the Minions movie from 2015. It wasn't exactly the best movie I've ever seen in my life, but I could understand those Minions a million times better than I can understand this fucker in this movie. And Cage is like awkwardly staring at him the entire time. So this guy has picked him up and he's driving him down the road. And Cage is in like the passenger seat like this, right? And this guy is talking next to him and Cage is like... He's giving him these like weird death stares. I don't know if it's a death stare or a sex stare. Whatever you want it to be is probably whatever it's supposed to be. Anyways, we cut to some random girl who we'll get introduced to a little bit later on, but for now she's just going to be referred to as Random Girl. She's getting arrested. Oh no, she's getting arrested for trying to burn down Willy's Wonderland. She's sitting outside Willy's with a lighter in hand. She says some badass quote that I forgot because this movie's dialogue is more forgettable than my dad who went to get milk 14 years ago. But she gets arrested and that's incredible. Wow. She's arrested and then the sheriff takes her back to like this building place, this caravan, and then Nicolas Cage and this trucker drive past and they stop and they have this weird dialogue, but the dialogue between the trucker guy and the sheriff isn't important. What we really want to focus on here is how this girl and Nicolas Cage have like this awkward sexual tension moment that isn't earned at all. It's just two random strangers and she's like staring at him with like puppy dog eyes, and Nicolas Cage is still doing his same like like his sex god eyes, right? It's a weird moment. I don't know how to describe it. The sheriff chains this girl to a pipe in a caravan. She stops next to a caravan, gets out of the car, she gets the girl out of the car, handcuffs her to a pipe inside of this caravan, this random caravan. She asks, how am I gonna eat? Why are you chaining me up here? How am I gonna get food? Where am I gonna use the bathroom? And the sheriff says, don't even worry about it. And she gives her a bucket and she says, if you need to piss, you piss in the bucket. I can't stress how happy I am that piss is included in this movie in some form or another. The fact that piss has been included in Willy's Wonderland, the movie, it sends shivers down my spine, tingles to my cock. It is one of the best moments in movie history. So we cut to Nicolas Cage in the repair shop with this mechanic trucker dude. He's looking at a wall full of missing persons posters, and one of the faces is one of the people from the beginning of the movie, which, ooh, it's starting to all come together, and we're only like 10 minutes into the fucking movie. But anyways, he's sitting there looking at the wanted posters, and the guy comes up behind him. He's like, hey, I can fix up your car for you, but it's gonna cost you. It's gonna cost you $1,000. And Nicolas Cage is like, he doesn't say a fucking word. So the guy's like, oh, I guess you don't have cash, right? Fine. Are you willing to work off your debt to me? And Nicolas Cage is like, I'm not memeing here. Nicolas, that's it's literally what he does. He nods at the camera. Incredible. Storytelling at its finest. Brilliant performance from my main man, Nick Cage. You know, usually I'd be surprised that Nicolas Cage doesn't have cash on him, but the way his character's been portrayed thus far, I wouldn't be surprised if he's fucking eaten it or something. He's gotten hungry in the car. Hey, that's a nice snack. He just eats a fistful of $50 bills. So the mechanic guy takes Nicolas Cage to the outside of Willy's Wonderland. Here we are, finally at the wondrous location itself, Willy's Wonderland. We're finally here. This is where we meet this brand new character, Tex, or for the sake of the video, I'm gonna refer to him as Sex. It's some guy in a white tuxedo. At this point in the movie, Nicolas Cage has this like weird standoff, like Mexican standoff with the welcome sign to Willy's Wonderland. Like, he looks up at the Willy's Wonderland sign as this guy Tex or Sex is trying to explain to him how the job's gonna go down. And Nicolas Cage, like, he looks up at the big cartoon image of Willy, and they have like a Mexican standoff. He takes his glasses off, and Willy, you know, it's a cardboard fucking cutout. But Nicolas Cage is like eyeing it up as if he knows what's about to happen in the movie. Anyways, Sex tells Nicolas Cage that if he cleans the inside of Willy's Wonderland, if he spends the night inside Willy's Wonderland, he will fix his car for free of charge. That's it. That's the deal here. Nicolas Cage cleans Willy, and then Sex cleans his car. That's how it works, right? You clean some Willys and you fix your cars. That's life, man. That's the life of a man. Anyway, Sex and Nicolas Cage, they go inside the establishment. This is where Sex explains to Nicolas Cage that the reason that Willys is shut down is because some years ago, some stupid children decided to crawl all over the animatronic characters. By the way, the animatronic characters, Willy and all of his friends, dick, balls, cock, and boobs, they all look like people in suits, right? There's no effort here to make them look like animatronics. They all look like people in mascot costumes, which I thought was fucking hilarious. You know, when these are supposed to be animatronics and they're clearly people like breathing in suits trying to keep upright with all this extra shit on their shoulders, it's kind of hilarious. It's very laughable. But anyways, Sex explains, you know, we had to shut down because some parents wanted to shut us down and all this fun stuff, and that's well and good. Nicolas Cage doesn't give a shit. He just wants his car fixed. And then out of nowhere, we cut back to the girl chained to the pipe in the caravan. Her friends have found her. We're introduced to her group of friends, a lovely generic bunch of teenagers. You love to see it. Her friends find her, they free her, and they say, let's go burn down Willy's Wonderland, even though that's just what you got arrested for. But that's neither here nor there. It's a very short scene. She gets saved and they agree to go and burn down Willy's Wonderland. And then out of nowhere, we cut back to Nicolas Cage. The next shot we see him in, he's cleaning stuff. You know, he's cut the deal with Sex. He's cleaning up the inside of Willy's Wonderland. He's got his broom. He's spraying stuff down, cleaning stuff in his Willy's Wonderland shirt now. He has dropped his leather jacket, his very badass leather jacket, in favor of some Willy's Wonderland garb. And I shit you not, it's some of the sexiest clothing I've ever seen in my life. He goes to the kitchen to refrigerate his Monster Energy punch. Do you remember I told you at the beginning of the video he was drinking an energy drink or a soda or something? Well, yeah, he's doing that again, but this time he's filling up the fridge in the kitchen of this restaurant with all of his punch. It's like he's got a backpack or like a sack type thing, and he keeps all of his cans in there, and now he's filling up the fridge with his energy drinks. I don't know, this man has weird priorities. We cut to a shot of him dusting off an old pinball machine. Now this was really interesting to me. This is like one of the only things that I seriously thought was kind of cool in the movie. This is a recurring theme theme, and it will come up again. But there's some really cool shots and some really cool sound design of him like dusting off this old pinball machine in the kitchen while he's like stacking up his energy drinks in the fridge, and he like blows the dust off of it, and it goes into a cloud in front of the camera. It looks really, really cool. I was a big fan of how it looked, but there's not much else to it. He starts dusting off a pinball machine, and then we're straight back into the Willy's Wonderland action. So anyways, he stops dusting off the machine, he stops putting his energy drinks in the fridge, he goes back into the main room, and out of nowhere, he gets attacked by an ostrich animatronic. I'm not kidding when I say out of nowhere. I mean, Nicolas Cage is just mopping the floor, minding his own business, and out of nowhere, this big fucking ostrich comes from behind him and starts smacking him with its massive neck. And I thought this would be Nicolas Cage gets injured and then he gets scared and runs away. No, no, no. Quite the opposite happens, my friends. Quite the opposite happens. Quite the fucking opposite. Nicolas Cage, he snaps the broomstick in half over his knee and he stabs the ostrich with the broomstick, and then the ostrich is on the ground and he's beating the hell out of the ostrich, screaming and yelling in proper Nicolas Cage fashion. You wouldn't believe your eyes. You would believe your eyes. It's a Nicolas Cage movie. I don't know what I'm talking about. Not to mention the epic rock music that's playing all throughout this entire scene while Nicolas Cage is beating the ever-living shit out of this ostrich, screaming and yelling at this animatronic thing on the floor. There's epic rock music playing in the background like... It is the most badass thing I've ever seen. Or at least that's how I think I was supposed to feel when I was watching it, but I was laughing hysterically as shown in this clip here. What the fuck? So anyways, he kills this ostrich and he rips its spine out like some sort of Mortal Kombat finishing move. He puts it in a dust bag and he leaves it by the front door. 1 animatronic down, 7 to go. He tries to dispose of the body in the bins outside, but he realizes that the doors are locked. Oh no, he's been locked in. You know, he doesn't express any sort of panic or fear. He just has a deadpan expression. The entire movie he has a deadpan expression, but a deadpan expression. He looks at the bag, he tries to open the door, so he just leaves the bag next to the locked door. So now's a good time to bring up that Nicolas Cage has a stopwatch. Every time this stopwatch goes off, without fail, he goes to the kitchen, gets one of his punch energy drinks, monster, whatever you want to call it, from the fridge. He drinks it and has a pinball break. He plays a game of pinball. It's a cool recurring theme in the movie. It's probably the only consistent thing in the movie, apart from the fact that Nicolas Cage doesn't utter a single fucking word. Again, I don't know why he's playing pinball after something just tried to murder him, but I didn't try and think about this too much because I quickly realized that this is a movie about Nicolas Cage slaughtering animatronics. We cut to a cleaning montage in the bathroom. It's like sped up like 1.5 speed on YouTube. Like you click on, where is it? Like down here in the corner of this YouTube video, you speed it up to like 1.5 or 2 times speed. That's the kind of like effects we're getting here. And Nicolas Cage is like scrubbing the bathroom walls. He's scrubbing some stuff in the bathroom. It's a cleaning montage. So he hears some noise from the main lobby. He leaves the bathroom to see that the animatronics are on stage, switched on. Ooh, all by themselves. They're dancing and singing. It's your birthday and we want you to have fun. It's your birthday. Man, watching this movie for 3 hours taking notes was really got the song stuck in my head. But anyways, they're singing on stage and Nicolas Cage is having none of it. He just presses the button on the wall and switches that shit off. But before he can go back into the bathroom and finish his cleaning, he's interrupted. An animatronic ducks into the bathroom and he's like, that's his reaction. Nothing. He watches the animatronic run into the bathroom and, you know, he chases after it. He goes into the bathroom, but it's hidden. It's not there. Anyway, someone has written, "It's your birthday" in blood on the wall. Don't know where you got the blood from, but we'll go with it. It's whatever at this point. I'm not looking for continuity or logic in this movie at all. So Nicolas Cage is like, well, that's a bit annoying. You know, there's some stuff on the wall. And then he starts kicking down the toilet doors, all the toilet stalls to see if the animatronic's in there. And lo and behold, it is in one of the toilet stalls. And it's a big green gorilla, and they have what looks like a WWE wrestling match on the bathroom floor. Nicolas Cage is getting choked up against the wall, and then he starts slapping it, like bitch slapping this big gorilla animatronic that's like 3 times the size of him, and the gorilla is all like, ugh, as if it can actually feel pain somehow. And then he finally finishes off the gorilla by putting its jaw on the edge of a urinal and stamping on the back of its head. It sprays a bunch of oil at him in true action movie fashion. I think it's supposed to be like a blood splatter or something like that, but it's like oil and it goes all in his mouth. This is the only time that Cage's character smiles in this entire fucking movie, by the way. Every time he kills one of the animatronics, he smiles manically. Like, have you ever seen Nicolas Cage smile? I'll show you a picture. It looks a bit like that. It's terrifying. He finishes killing the gorilla, and just like the ostrich, he bags it up and puts it by the exit. Job done. 2 down, 6 to go. Anyways, Nicolas Cage's stopwatch goes off again, and he drinks another Monster Energy with some badass rock music playing in the background. sipping on that Monster Energy. You cannot get enough of it. And then we cut to this girl and her friends. Remember them? You know, those memorable characters? We cut back to them. They're outside Willy's Wonderland now, and they're pouring gasoline all over the place, and they're like, yeah, let's burn it down, burn it to the ground. We're angsty teens. We're angsty teens, man. We're in our 20s. We're angsty. We're in our 20s. So they start like trying to burn this place down, and then the girl is like, no, there's a guy inside. I saw him at the beginning. We had this weird sexual tension. I can't just let him die. So her friends are like, oh, okay, I guess we can let you save him. She knocks on the window and she's like, hey, Nicholas, you're not safe in here. You need to get out. And Nicolas Cage is like, and then he leaves. He ignores her completely. He ignores her warnings that he's going to die and that it's a trap, and he just keeps on cleaning. I don't know what... Let's continue with the movie. So anyway, the girl enters Willys through some random ventilation shaft. I don't know where she found that. And she's attacked by an alligator animatronic. I'm not gonna lie, the jump scare here is actually really good, and the sound design is really well done. It didn't make me jump, but it's a really well designed jump scare. And then she's ambushed by another animatronic named Siren Sarah, or Sarah the Siren. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. All the animatronics do the exact same shit. They just attack people. This animatronic is crawling all over the walls. It's literally like crawling on the ceiling like Spider-Man at like 1,000,000 miles an hour, and it snatches the girl. It snatches her. It's like, wow, is she dead? We don't know. Nicolas Cage hears this from the other room, and he goes into the room where Sarah and the girl were fighting, and out of nowhere, the girl, whose name I've now just figured out is Liz, by the way, but we're gonna call her Jizz for ease of words. It's easier on my mouth. Anyway, she falls from the ceiling onto Nicolas Cage in like the missionary position, not the mission, in the cowgirl position. Interesting shot you've got there, movie. Congratulations on finishing the sexual tension arc that we had between these two characters. I was itching to find out where this part of the story would go. She's on top of Nicolas Cage. Cage is on the ground. Jizz is on top of him, and he moves her off. As soon as he stands up, he leaves the room. You know, I don't understand why he entered the room in the first place if he was just going to leave immediately, but he leaves. He's not fazed by the fact that he's now not alone in there, and there's other people in there, you know, actively fighting the animatronics. It's weird. It's like he's too badass for social interaction now. Sorry, dude. I didn't know that it was that serious for you. Anyway, the Siren Sarah animatronic returns to the stage for some reason. I don't know why. I guess to kind of try and blend in, maybe. We cut to Jizz's friends on the roof. They're arguing. Should we go in and save Jizz? Should we not go in and save Jizz? I don't want to save Jizz. Jizz isn't worth dying at the hands of these animatronics. I don't want to save Jizz. I want to live. You know, it's too late. They fall through the ceiling into the ball pit. They fall through the roof. Whoa! Big epic moment. Jizz hears this, and she rushes into the room with the ball pit in it, which just so happens to be the room with all the animatronics in it. And she's like, hey guys, what are you doing in here? You shouldn't have. I told you to stay outside. But before they can do anything, before they can act, the animatronics turn on and they start dancing and singing. Where's your birthday? And they start dancing and singing, and then she sees Siren Sarah, the stupid animatronic woman on stage, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna kill you. You just tried to kill me. And she runs up on stage with a pocket knife. Don't know what she thinks that's gonna do. And she goes to stab Siren Sarah, and she's stopped by Nicolas Cage. I don't know why he did that. All Nicolas Cage's character has been so far is a series of questionable decisions. He stops her, and her friends are like, what are you doing? What are you doing? We're supposed to kill them all. And then they're like, oh, weren't there 8 animatronics? Why are there only 6? And her friends look over to the door, and they see the bagged up, killed animatronics, and then they're like, oh, that's badass. I kid you not, that's an actual line from the movie. They're like, that's badass. And Nicolas Cage just kind of turns around, and he's like, he doesn't growl. It's just, you can't see my face, so it's like the best way I can convey what I'm looking like. Anyways, this is where we get some story development. Jizz and her friends explain to Nicolas Cage that he's been lied to. He's been lured here, just like many people before him, with the exact same popped tire story and everything. It happens to everyone. Everyone gets their tires punctured, they get offered to work at Willys, and then they're killed at Willys. She explains that Willys was built in 1996, founded by some guy called Jerry Robert Willys. She then explains how he was one of the last century's most sadistic serial killers. She tells Nicolas Cage that Jerry would lure people to a special room inside of Willys where he would then kill them. I hope this sounds familiar because it sounded familiar to me too when I was watching this movie. The FBI decide to raid Willys. They find Jerry and his accomplices dead inside the special room, the special murder room, after they'd performed a satanic ritual on themselves to transfer their souls into the animatronics. 10 years later, Willys reopens with the new owner, Sex. After even more incidents, Willys recloses. And the only information here that we're given as to why Sex doesn't burn the place down himself is because Willy convinced him to make a deal with the devil. I mean, okay, that's cool. That's great. Wonderful. Wonderful. Willy's wonderful. Willy's Wonderland. Anyway, we cut to some of Jizz's friends. They've snuck off to the murder room for some reason. You know, after we've just established that it's a murder room, they've snuck off to the murder room to have sex. And we cut back to Jizz and her other friends, and now they're fighting some big animatronic that's just walked off the stage. This big night animatronic. He walks off the stage. He starts attacking her friends. He starts attacking Jizz. He stabs one of her friends through the chest, killing him. In the meantime, Nicolas Cage is playing pinball in the back room. Like, this is genuinely what he's doing. He's playing pinball, drinking his energy drinks, playing pinball. You know, when that stopwatch goes off, it goes off, man. You've got to comply. So here's Jizz. She's just explained the lore of Willys to Nicolas Cage. He doesn't give a shit. He's playing pinball. And then the rest of them are ambushed by this big night animatronic. It just looks like a medieval version of the Burger King, or at least that's how I see it anyway. At this point, some of the friends are separating while they're fighting the night animatronic. There's this one guy, the guy that gets killed. He's a white guy with black hair. He gets stabbed through the chest. The guy who leaves the group is this black guy with glasses. And there's Jizz, the girl that stays and fights the night animatronic. And then her two other friends have gone off to have sex. And there's another one of the friends called Chris, who he will be important later. He's just fucked off somewhere else. I don't know where he is right now. Anyways, we cut to a random shot of the black guy getting eaten alive by two animatronics, Siren Sarah and another one. It's in like a sombrero for some reason. This shot has no relevance. It just serves to kill a character that I guess they cast for no reason. This character serves no purpose to the plot, and he had about 4 lines, so I guess he existed to die. We cut back to the friends having sex in the murder room, and the alligator animatronic is there, and it's just watching them have sex. And the girl is like, hey, it's watching us have sex, and the guy is like, yeah, let's cuckold it. Let's cuckold a robot. And she's like, I don't want to cuckold a robot. And he's like, yeah, let's just cuckold the robot, dude. So they cuckold the robot. They cuckold an animatronic in this movie, which is my favorite part of the whole movie. We then cut back to Jizz. She's now alone fighting this night animatronic, dodging left, right, and center as it swings with its big axe. Nicolas Cage bursts in the room last minute. Yeah, I guess he's done playing pinball now. Great work, Nicolas. You're a great friend. He busts into the room. He takes the knight's axe and he just fucking beheads it. He starts smashing it against the wall, slices its head off, stamps on it, slices it up and stuff. And it's amazing how Jizz has been fighting this knight for about 5 minutes, you know, really struggling. And Nicolas Cage comes out of nowhere with epic rock music, some cool slow motion, and he just decks it around the face, slices its heads off. It's incredible. We then cut to a shot of the couple getting murdered by the crocodile animatronic, you know, the one that they were cuckolding. I guess it got tired of being the cuckold and it wanted to be the cuckoldee. What are the labels in that situation? Either way, the crocodile wanted to be the cucker, and he wanted to make the guy the cuckee. Right? That's how that works. That must be. I don't really know. You know, and it kills them. It starts biting them and slashing at them, and it kills them, and it's all going great. And then out of nowhere, Nicolas Cage busts down the door. Slow motion. The door goes fucking flying across the room. I'm not even kidding you. The door goes flying across the room. So Nicolas Cage and Jizz, they bust in. And Nicolas Cage, he just walks up to this crocodile animatronic that has just been seen murdering 2 very athletic-looking people. He walks up to it, grabs it by the jaws, and just rips its jaws open. He reaches down its throat and grabs some sort of device, pulls it out, and oil's dripping from it, throws it on the ground, and he fucks off. He ignores the dead bodies. He doesn't care about no dead bodies. All that Nicolas Cage is here to do is what's in his film contract, and that is to kill animatronics. It's really interesting here as well because Jizz doesn't seem to care about her friends dying either. You know, they've just been murdered by a crocodile animatronic, and she just leaves. But yeah, Nicolas Cage murders it. He just opens that fucker up like it's a fortune cookie and reaches down and grabs his fortune, and his fortune is to be a completely dead silent character, never say a word in this movie, and just kill the rest of the animatronics. Sweet, that works for me. I'm very entertained so far. So anyways, now we cut to Chris. Do you remember Chris? I told you about him a few minutes ago. He's hiding from one of the other animatronics, a big frog one. He's hiding in the room. He calls the police. He's like, hey, you guys need to come and help. The police, they don't really care, because it's the sheriff. Do you remember the sheriff that arrested Jizz earlier in the movie? She's going to be an important character in about 20 minutes. She's like, you stay at Willy's Wonderland. I don't care about no Willy's Wonderland. You stay in there. There's a reason why she reacts this way, but you have to wait until later for me to explain it to you. So Chris, he's called the police. He's stuck in this room with this big frog animatronic, and he's like,
oh god, it's gonna find me.
And the frog animatronic's like, I'm not like the others. I'm not evil. I'm actually good. All I want is to move on to the afterlife. And he's like, seems legit. So he leaves his cover and he's like, okay, I'll help you leave the afterlife. We then cut to the sheriff's office with the sheriff and her fellow officer. And the sheriff is like, shit, we've got to go down to Willys, you know? We got an emergency call from Willys. I know that that's where Jizz is, you know? She knows Jizz and her friends. And she's like, shit. I guess we really should go help him out, huh? So the sheriff and the supporting officer, or whatever his name is, I forget, they're in the car and he's like, so what are we going down here for? This has got to be a prank or something, right? Why are we taking guns with us? So the sheriff explains to her fellow officer that when Sex reopened Willys, they all knew something was wrong and that there was a dark evil about the place. They knew the animatronics were bad news, and the demolition crew that Sex had hired to knock the place down turned up dead. They decided it best to just let Willys rot, like let the whole restaurant go to shit, but the animatronics were hungry and they started leaving Willys to kill all over the town. So the sheriff and Sex cut a deal with the animatronics to leave the townspeople alone, and they'd in return feed them unsuspecting passers-by, just like Nicolas Cage. It turns out in a spicy plot twist that Jizz was a child saved from the animatronics by the sheriff, who then raised her. The only reason she's going down to Willys to help out is because she couldn't stand losing Jizz. A very touching family moment that becomes a little bit less touching in about 10 minutes from now. So we cut back to Chris and the frog animatronic, who had just convinced him that she was good. Surprise, surprise, she was just tricking him. She sticks her tongue out, her big hentai tentacle tongue, wraps it around Chris's neck, and she just snaps that fucker's neck in two. She turns around to see Nicolas Cage and Jizz in the room, because of course, Nicolas Cage and Jizz, the dynamic duo, or the dynamic solo, because Jizz does absolutely nothing but just look at Nicolas Cage the entire movie. So Nicolas Cage, he adopts a weird fighting pose, and I'm not kidding, he stands up like in an awkward, non-beneficial fighting pose, like this. A really weird pose. I don't know why he does that. But he gets in a fighting pose as if he's about to throw some hands with this lizard animatronic, this frog. But his stopwatch goes off, and he's like, oh, I guess it's energy drink time. And then he's like, oh, okay, what do I do? He gets a pocket knife out of his pocket, he puts it in Jizz's hand, and he fucks off. I'm not kidding. He leaves Jizz in danger to go and play a game of pinball and take a shot of some monster energy. You know, it's really nice to know that Nicolas Cage's only consistent character trait is being a massive fan of energy drinks and playing pinball. He's very good at that too. So anyways, while Nicolas Cage is having the time of his life playing pinball, Jizz is dodging and weaving the animatronics. You know, she's got the knife in hand, she tries slicing a few times, but she fails, and it's like this epic fight scene. Nicolas Cage finishes his lovely pinball break and monster energy break, comes back, but he sees that she's in peril, she's about to die, she can't really hold her own any longer. So Nicolas Cage ties a noose around the frog's neck and just drags it along the floor. Him and Jizz leave the room, dragging this frog animatronic along behind him. You know, I guess he's just that strong. But they're stopped in the tight hallway. Siren Sarah and the other like weird Mexican stereotype animatronic. They're in the hallway. They can't go forwards because the animatronics are in the way. There is no way out of this situation. Nicolas Cage and Jizz are stuck in this situation. There is no way out for either of them. How could they possibly escape this? I'll tell you how they escape it. Nicolas Cage walks forwards and he just punches the animatronics in the face. He's still dragging this frog along with him, but epic rock music plays. As epic rock music starts playing, as Nicolas Cage drags this massive lizard animatronic along behind him, he elbows one of them in the face, he backhands the other one, and then they just keep walking down the hallway. He knocks out two murderous robots. Nicolas Cage is the most overpowered movie character I have seen in so long. So Cage and Jizz enter the main room where the animatronic stage is and where the ball pit is and all that kind of fun stuff. He drags the lizard along and he's just about to bag it up and put it in front of the doorway when the sheriff busts down the door. Crazy. What's she gonna do here when she finds out that Nicolas Cage is still alive? You know, she put him here to die. That was why he was originally here. You know, she cut a deal with the devil. She brought him here to die. So how's she gonna react when she sees that he's still alive? that Willy and his friends haven't murdered him. The sheriff orders Nicolas Cage to drop the animatronic frog at gunpoint. She points her gun at him, and she has her fellow officer cuff him to the floor. Jizz is infuriated by this, claiming that he's not locked in there with the animatronics, they're locked in there with him. The sheriff apologizes to Willy for Cage killing some of the animatronics, and she leaves Cage alone in there with them, taking Jizz with her. So the sheriff, instead of being impressed that Nicolas Cage is killing the animatronics, that Cage could probably take out the rest of them and save the fucking town, she actively contributes to his death. She leaves him for dead in there. She takes Jizz away, apologizes to Willy. What an asshole. I thought the sheriff was gonna come and save Nicolas Cage and Jizz, not leave Nicolas Cage for dead. Come on, man. He's already proven that he's more than capable of taking these guys out. I was so livid when I saw this scene. I was so angry that I put a hole through my wall. And my wall is made of solid brick. I inherited the powers of Nicolas Cage in that singular moment of fury, and I put a hole through a brick wall. Fucking betrayal in this movie, man. Anyway, she orders her fellow officer to take Jizz back to the station, and she waits outside Willys, and while she waits for Willy to kill Nicolas Cage. She says that once Nicolas Cage is dead, she'll come back to the station. She just wants to make sure that he dies. Inside Willys, Nicolas Cage comes face to face with the frog animatronic and Siren Sarah. You know, he's handcuffed. He's got his hands cuffed behind his back. How is he gonna fight off Siren Sarah and the frog animatronic? Well, I'll tell you how. He trips up the frog animatronic. Boom! He trips up Siren Sarah with his legs, and then he sits on Siren Sarah's face. I really wish I was kidding, but I'm not kidding. He sits on Siren Sarah's face, and that's how he kills Siren Sarah. It's an amazing moment to see. You don't believe me. I feel like you don't believe me. I'm getting some vibes that you don't believe me here. I'll show you a photo. Here is a picture of Nicolas Cage sitting on an animatronic's face. This picture right here. It's a screenshot from the movie. Fair use. You know, fair use. It's a screenshot from YouTube. I guess he's shitting in her mouth. You know, he's performing some scat ritual. So once Siren Sarah is dead and she's completely taken care of, he turns his attention to the frog animatronic. He literally breaks his handcuffs like he's Superman. So that's it. Siren Sarah and the lizard are dead. He bags them up and leaves them by the front door with the others. Just Willy to go. Meanwhile, while Jizz is getting driven back to the police station with the supporting officer, turns out the Mexican stereotype animatronic is on the roof of the car, and he grabs the officer and he rips him out, and he kills him on the side of the road. Jizz gets out of the car, grabs a shotgun and beats the shit out of the animatronic and starts walking back to Willys. We cut back to Nicolas Cage, who's now mid-cleaning montage. Once again, he's still cleaning. You know, I gotta praise this character for his dedication to work. He's still cleaning, mopping, wiping, spraying. This is all set to some 80s rave music, which I was really excited about. I'm a big fan of 80s rave music. Very fitting for the cleaning montage too. But you know, his stopwatch has gone off again, and you can't ignore your Monster Energy break. So his stopwatch goes off, he goes to the kitchen, he grabs a Monster Energy, drinks that shit, crushes it in his hand, and he starts playing pinball. Now this is where we get like a payoff to the whole cool pinball thing I told you earlier on when he was like dusting it off in that shot. This is like a really cool pinball montage, and he actually shows some emotion. He's like laughing, and he's like, yeah, and he's like, he's playing pinball, he's pulling it back, he's playing pinball, he's doing really, really well. And personally, I really enjoyed this montage scene. I thought it was a lot of fun to watch. It was an absolute joy to watch. It was shot really well. The lighting was off the charts. You know, the tracking of the ball going through the machine. It was just a really, really cool montage type scene. And it was one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. It's a shame that it has absolutely nothing to do with the story, and it's just Nicolas Cage playing fucking pinball. Anyways, Cage takes out some trash. He takes out some of the trash to the back. He takes out some of the animatronics, I assume, just big trash bags, throws them over into the dumpster, but he's spotted by the sheriff, who's sitting in her car. The sheriff is like, God darn it, son of a bitch. He's still alive. So she gets out of the car and she's like, hey, what do you think you're doing? All you had to do was die. You were just supposed to die, and now you've fucked everything up. You've killed all the animatronics. You fucked up my deal. Now Willy's gonna be mad. So she gets him at gunpoint once again. She leads Nicolas Cage back into Willy's Wonderland, and in the middle of the restaurant, she's like, hey, Willy, wherever you are, I've got him for you. He won't be any problem for you anymore. There's no issue. I've got him on a silver platter right here. The lights start flickering. The lights go out. The lights come back on, and Willy, for the first time in the movie, does something other than maybe twitch every now and then. I guess this is the equivalent to night 5 at Five Nights at Freddy's, when Freddy actually does shit. Willy is standing behind the sheriff, and instead of taking Nicolas Cage, you know, on a silver platter, murdering him, he murders the sheriff, slices her in half, gets his massive big ass claws and slices that bitch in two. It was an amazing shot. The effects looked like something out of Microsoft Paint. It was amazing. You know, I got a question here. I'm gonna question the logic of this movie, and I know I shouldn't do that. I know that questioning the logic of Willy's Wonderland starring Nicolas Cage is probably a really, really bad idea. But why, if Willy knew that Nicolas Cage could easily take out some of the animatronics in such a brutal manner, why did he not opt for killing Nicolas Cage first while he was being held at gunpoint by the sheriff, and then killing the sheriff, and then Willy wins? That's how Willy could have won in this movie. That's a how it should have ended video right there. That's something I want to see how it should have ended. You guys better be on that shit right now. But anyways, that doesn't happen. The sheriff dies, spraying Nicolas Cage in thick, creamy ketchup. Now, this is the first time in the movie that Nicolas Cage takes some serious damage. You know, Willy picks up Nicolas Cage, throws him at a fucking wall. He starts slicing Nicolas Cage, and he's screaming in agony. He's slicing Nicolas Cage up, and Willy is finally, you know, he's pissed off. All of his friends are dead, and Willy, he's slicing him left, right, and center, gives him a few right hooks, gives him a swift uppercut. He slices across his face, he slices him across the back, and Nicolas Cage is bleeding all over the place. He is on the brink of death, and to finish it all off, he picks up Nicolas Cage and fucking choke slams him into a ball pit. Willy seems to just have a brain fart here and forget where he just choke slams Nicolas Cage into. Nicolas Cage escapes the ball pit. He just crawls out and into the kitchen, and Willy doesn't see this somehow. I don't understand how. You know, this is supposed to be the final showdown. I don't know why Willy is so ignorant to what Nicolas Cage is doing, but whatever, we'll continue. I forgot to mention that when Nicolas Cage was thrown against the wall, he hit the party button. The party button, as every animatronic attraction restaurant thing has. A big party button. So there's confetti falling from the ceiling, there's smoke everywhere, the lights are set to like a dingy red and purple. There's distorted "It's your birthday and we want you to have fun" playing in the background. The stage is set for the final showdown. We cut to Nicolas Cage in the kitchen. He's filling up a sack with all of his leftover Monster Energies and sodas and stuff. He grabs a stick, probably the broomstick from earlier on. He duct tapes it. He makes some makeshift weapons, so he's got a massive stick and a bag full of soda cans, and he walks out back from the kitchen covered in blood to epic rock music, some slow-mo. It's an amazingly sexy shot. It's like and Nicolas Cage is standing in frame a lot better than I am right now, because I'm just taking up, you know, my tits are taking up the whole frame right now. So Willy and Nicolas, they're standing in the main lobby. Nicolas weapons in hand, Willy with his massive claws. Willy goes for a swing, but Nicolas, he blocks it. All of a sudden, all of the power that we had established Willy had, you know, we established that he wasn't like the other animatronics. He was strong. He could take Nicolas Cage on. He was genuinely a threat. But the second that Nicolas Cage has a bag full of soda, Nicolas Cage is suddenly ridiculously overpowered. It's like, it's kin to a fucking Mario power-up. That's how I thought of it. It's like, it's a Mario power-up. Nicolas Cage has just gone and grabbed a power-up from the kitchen. Whatever. I'm looking for logic in this movie still, and I need to learn to not do that. So Willy, he's taking hits. He's like, oh, I'm actually taking damage. And Nicolas Cage is screaming. He's like, ah! He's beating the shit out of Willy with the bag of soda. He's got the sticks. He smacks him around the head a few times. It's incredible. It's an incredible fight scene, better than I've ever seen in my entire life. It puts films like Oldboy to shame. The fight between Nicolas Cage and Willy, the weasel. The fight scene ends, Willy is beaten to an oily pulp on the ground, and Nicolas Cage is still going at it, and then he grabs Willy by the head and he rips his head off with no effort at all, and he sprays the wall, the Willy's Wonderland logo behind him, all with Willy's blood, his oil or whatever the fuck it is, sprays the logo all over the place in a crazy action shot. And we have Nicolas Cage holding Willy's head, the leader of the animatronics, and he drops it in such a badass fashion. We cut to the morning. The whole restaurant is fully cleaned. All the animatronics are bagged up and they're thrown in the trash. The place looks brand new. The stage is empty, no animatronics on it, but the tables are all clean. There's no dust, there's no shit on the walls. It's a miracle that Nicolas Cage has managed to turn this place upside down in about 12 hours, maybe, maximum. I guess alongside being a professional badass, he's also a professional janitor now. Although he is referred to in the credits as the janitor, so it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, we cut to the morning, and Sex and the guy who told us at the beginning he would fix Nicolas Cage's car, they rock up in Sex's car, and they're like, oh, you know, Sex has this brand new sexy car, and the mechanic's like, hey, I fixed up your car for you. So I guess we have some development here with the characters. You know, it turns out that the mechanic is using all of the money that they get up front from the people that they lure to the animatronics place, the Willys. He's using all that money to do upgrades to Sex's car. So Sex is kind of a piece of shit. The mechanic's kind of a piece of shit. We don't like these characters. Anyways, they look at the door and it's like, wait, the lock is off. What happened? Why is the lock gone? So So they go inside and they see Nicolas Cage in his leather jacket and his shades. And he's like, ugh. I was gonna say a line there, but basically he implies, you know, I cleaned the place up. Give me the fucking car keys. He knows that he was scammed. He knows he's not getting his broken car back. But he's like, give me your car keys. So Sex just gives him his car keys, and Nicolas Cage gets in his car. And then out of nowhere, Jizz comes in, and she's like, oh, hey, Nicolas Cage. And he's like, you know, that awkward sexual tension is back. Can you feel it? So they lock eyes, and she's like, can I come with you? And he's like, he does nothing. But she gets in his car anyway, and they drive off into the sunset. Meanwhile, it turns out that Siren Sarah is not dead. And at this point, I was like, oh my god, they're gonna do a sequel, and it's gonna be Siren Sarah's like revenge or some shit. I don't know. She crawls out of the dumpster that Nicolas Cage had put her in, and she picks up the lighter that the kids earlier on, you know, Jizz's friends, there were every single one of them that died. Those guys, yeah, you remember those characters? You haven't forgotten them yet? You still with me? Okay, good. The lighter that they were going to use to set the place alight before they decided to save Nicolas Cage, she picks that up, and then we cut back to Sex and the mechanic, and they get into the mechanic's car, and they're like, oh, it's finally over. Nicolas Cage, he cleaned house. It's done. It's time to celebrate. You know, what a badass guy. He was so badass that I just willingly gave him my new car that you spent thousands and thousands on upgrading. It looks like a really sexy sports car too. So, you know, I'm really glad that we just threw thousands and thousands down the drain. We could have scammed him again and continued to be shitty people. But no, we decided to be good people and give him a good car in the spur of the moment. It's just not adding up here. There's no consistency with these characters. It's wonderful. I love it so much. But anyways, they're talking about where they should go and celebrate. And out of nowhere, Siren Sarah, she's like, hey, thank you for your stay at Willy's Wonderland. I hope you had a good stay. And they're like, oh shit, she's still alive. And she sets a light to the exhaust pipe of Sex's car, and she blows herself up alongside Sex and the mechanic. So Sex and the mechanic are now dead, and Siren Sarah is dead. And I was like, oh, I thought they were going to do a sequel, and Siren Sarah was going to be the big new villain, but I guess that's down the drain now. I guess we're not doing that. So then we cut to Nicolas Cage. You know, he runs over the old animatronic. Do you remember the Mexican stereotype one that Jizz had beaten earlier on before she started going back to Willys? Yeah, well, it turns out he wasn't fully dead. He was just injured on the road, but Nicolas Cage makes sure to take care of that. He drives over it and kills it, and the robot's like, oh, mamma mia, and it's a great shot. And then Nicolas Cage is driving down your stereotypical Texan highway. He's driving down the country in the desert or wherever, I don't know, Texas. I'm from the UK. And he opens up an energy drink, and then he goes to drink it, and then he looks over to Jizz, and he gives Jizz the energy drink. And I don't know if this is supposed to be symbolic. You know, I don't understand what that's all about and why he gives Jizz the I don't understand. You've got multiple cans. You could just be like, hey, help yourself to a can. You know, I'm not the expert here. You're the guy that took out 8 killer animatronics effortlessly. So, you know, you do the talking, bro. And then the movie ends. That's it. That's the end of the movie. Nicolas Cage just offers Jizz a soda, and I guess they're dating now, and that's all well and good. So what did I think of the movie? What did I think about it? I thought it was absolutely incredible. It's one of those movies that's so bad that it's good. Obviously, everyone expected this to be like a Five Nights at Freddy's type deal. It was supposed to be like a knockoff Five Nights at Freddy's, and you know what? It lived up to its expectation of being knockoff, off-brand, Tesco only Five Nights at Freddy's. It was an incredible thing to watch. It took me 3 hours to watch. The runtime of the film is only 1 hour and 28 minutes, but it took me a lot longer to watch because I have a whole Google document here that I've been reading off of for the past 1 hour with all of my notes on it. So it took me a very long time to watch, and I'm probably going to watch it again just for my own enjoyment and fun, because I genuinely think it's a fun movie. It's a kind of movie, you know, you have some buddies over, you order a takeout, and you just put this shit on in the background. The story is absolutely bare bones. The acting is subpar at best. Nicolas Cage does an amazing job as always, but then again, Nicolas Cage has no lines, so I don't know how I can judge that. But he plays your stereotypical badass really well. But then again, you could have just got anyone for that role. You know, you didn't have to buy Nicolas Cage for that. But don't worry, I fully understand why you did buy Nicolas Cage for that. But anyways, this movie costs about $5.99 on YouTube. If you have the money to go and watch it, I would 100% recommend renting it on YouTube and watching this movie. I genuinely loved it. I thought it was one of the worst films I've ever seen, and for that reason alone, I love it so much. My least favorite film of all time is Midsommar. Do you know that really popular horror movie? Yeah, I hate it. Like, it's a genuine hatred. It's not just like oh, that's a bad movie. It's like, this is the worst film I've ever seen type kind of hatred. Those kind of movies are so bad that they're just bad, but this was so cheesy and so over the top, and it just felt like a stereotypical Nicolas Cage action film that I loved it to pieces, and I'm a massive Nicolas Cage guy, so therefore therefore I really enjoyed it. It's like your stereotypical Nicolas Cage film, but without all the extra faff and dialogue, and just him being himself. The crazy faces, the crazy expressions, the weird offbeat decisions that somehow lead to him succeeding in the end anyway, and him just being a generic badass. It's crazy. It's wild, and it's a really fun watch. So if you have the time to go and see it, I would definitely recommend you see it. Are you going to enjoy it more if you're a Five Nights at Freddy's fan than if you're just, you know, a horror fan? Probably. Are you going to enjoy it more if you're into animatronics and you're not just your average horror fan? Yeah, probably. The effects are subpar and the budget is low, but it's a really fun watch. So if you have the time to watch it, you're a Five Nights fan, you're an animatronics fan, you're a Rockafire Explosion fan, you're a Chuck E. Cheese fan, you're a cheese under my dicks fan. If you enjoy some cheese, you're going to enjoy this movie. It's going to be a very fun time. So yes, this was a good movie. It was so bad that it was good, and I would 100% recommend that every single one of you go and check it out. But anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. That is the end of today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy it. It took a long time to write and plan out, so big ups for that. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for similar videos in the future. If you want to chat to me and other fans of the channel, you can join our Discord server. The link will be in the description below. Come say hello, let us know what you thought of Willy's Wonderland if you've seen it yet. If you haven't seen it yet, then you've made it to the end of the video, and you've just been spoiled everything that happens. So thanks. But anyways, like I said, that is the end of today's video. So I hope you guys did enjoy just as much as I enjoyed watching Willy's Wonderland starring Nicolas Cage. And I will see you all, we will see you all in the next one.